Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our program. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Layne Saunders with Laynes Lawncare. Welcome to the program, Layne.
Hey, thank you for inviting me to this conference. I'll be having a lot of fun this next few minutes.
Yep, we were going to have some fun talking about your brand new business that you've just started. But before we talk about that, let's talk about who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, other than the fact that you are my son.
Well, I am 12 years old, and I really enjoy woodworking. I have a pet dog named Rascal and a snapping turtle named Freddy. My room is a little bit different than most other people's because all it is a workshop. I have a workbench, tools, and a lathe that I made.
Yeah, you make a really good point that it's different than most people's rooms, and I know a lot of parents always are saying, clean up your room, and we do try with you, but we do also realize that there's many times sawdust and nails and working projects in there. Tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you have made using your workbench.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I looked up how to make a lathe, and I found these instructions. And I started making some parts for it, but I figured out, well, some of this won't work with what I have. So what I did is I asked my grandpa, he is also a very good woodworker, and I asked him to help me work on this lathe. So he helped me over maybe 3 or 4 months, and we have just been putting parts and pieces together, but it was all made out of scrap wood and scrap bolts and nuts and stuff. So it's really not expensive work.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I didn't really know what a real lathe looked like, but this was interesting because it's a drill, one of those corded drills that's upside down, and then now it's all strapped in. And so how does that work when you then want to start using the lathe? What do you do with that?
Well, you have to get a block of wood. It has to be squared or else it won't work. It'll be all lumpy. But you have to center the piece and then put in the drive center. And then you hook the drive center into the drill, and then you have to put the tails piece on the back of the block of wood. Then you start up the lathe and start chipping away.
And you actually made something unique to help all the sawdust and wood chips not fly all over the room. What was that?
Well, I took some 1/2-inch tubing, and I cut it, and I hooked it up to my shop vac, and that goes right under the block of wood. So when I start the lathe and start working with it, all the sawdust gets sucked right down.
Yeah, I really thought that was pretty cool, and it doesn't get everything, but it gets most of the chips and the sawdust. So at some point, pretty recently, you started thinking, boy, my workbench is nice, but I would love to have this really higher-end workbench. What would that give you that this current workbench that you have doesn't have?
Well, over the use of this current workbench, it has gotten a huge crack down the middle of it because it is plastic, but it has worked for a long time. This new workbench that I'm saving up for is a Husky workbench. It is metal except for the wood top. It has 10 drawers, and it will be a lot safer because it is metal and sturdy.
And it costs a big bunch of money that you don't have. So what is your idea to earn the money to buy this workbench?
Well, I was thinking one day, since I have a new dog, and people who also have dogs, they sometimes let their dogs go outside and do their business. But a lot of times they'll just let that build up and then go out. But they hate that job. They don't like it at all because it's cleaning up a dog's business. Who wants to do that? So I was thinking, well, it's gross, but it's money in my pocket if I do that. So I started to think, well, if I had this business, what would I save up for? And the workbench is a perfect deal. So I thought, well, let's do that. So I started, and I asked you if I can start a business. And so I started a flyer. And it is mainly based around the Got Poop, I Scoop business. And I'll do weekly yard scoopings, and it will be every month, weekly, every week. So.
And, that's a really interesting thing that you said, which is you had a goal. You wanted to save money for a certain item, but you didn't have the money, and you didn't have a job because you're 12. So how can you earn that money? Well, you could go and mow lawns, and that's a great job for 12-year-olds. But the problem there is you've got to lug a lawnmower and a weed eater, and so it's a lot of equipment, and so that's one thing. But with this kind of business, we did some research, and we found a couple different aspects, which is, number one, we found some things about the equipment. So can you talk about, first of all, the equipment, and then second of all, is this such a new idea that no one else is doing it, or are there other companies that do this as well?
Okay. So, well, there are a lot of other companies that do this, but they are very expensive. So the equipment is really cheap, and it will work for a long time because really you don't use it very often except for once a week. So really I'll be buying one scoop a year and maybe a bucket, and we'll be going around doing that. So it works that way too.
And, with businesses that I work with, helping them with their marketing and their business, the big thing that people have to realize is whatever you do for a customer has to be helpful for them, and it has to be a good product or a good service. Well, what you're describing is definitely a good, helpful product because it saves them the hassle of cleaning up the dog's business, which nobody is going to love that. And maybe if they leave it too long, maybe would burn up some areas of their grass. So this is a thing that will help their grass, and it will help them not have to do a really messy job. Is that right?
Yes, this will help them in a very big way because a lot of times people that have dogs are busy or they just don't want to do it. And so if they hire me, I will come out once a week, scoop all of the dog's business, and then I'll do that for a month. And then they give me the payment. But that's nothing to worry about now because I might not have decided the price yet. But it's all about helping the people because really, if they don't want to do it, then it's just burning their grass, and that's not good for the grass.
Yeah, and so, as a 12-year-old starting this service, this business, what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs that would like to start doing a business in their neighborhoods?
Well, I would say, as I have learned from a very good businessman, lay out every step of your business and chart it out every step of the way so that you have a good plan, a good base of what you need to do.
That's excellent, and I do tell my clients to do the exact same thing, and that is very grown-up advice to have a plan and lay it out and then follow that plan. So, Layne, thank you so much for being on the program today and telling us about your new business, and we wish you great success.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.